On Monday the 9th of January 2023, Sky News broke the story that the Ukraine is in discussion with the UK to send up to 10 Challenger 2 tanks to the Ukraine. Now that's mutated over the last 24 hours and the story is now somewhere between 10 and 12 tanks. Now, this is quite a big development. It's the first time Western MBTs are being sent, if the story is true, to the Ukraine. It has been looked at before and was turned down. The Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, last year said that it wouldn't work, were his exact words. Now, something's obviously changed. I think previously it's been seen very much as this was a line that couldn't be crossed. I think partially that was based on the logic that nobody expected Ukraine to hold out this long. I'll be honest, like most people last year, I expected 48, 72 hours to see T-72s driving into Kiev. Didn't happen. Still hasn't happened. And now the situation is escalating and escalating. There doesn't seem to be an exit strategy for the Russians. And I think the West is now starting to see it as something that probably they're going to push harder on. It appears, I think, to be part of a consolidated story. I think this will become clear in the next few weeks. The discussion's obviously been going on for weeks, and on the 3rd, the 4th of January, there was an announcement from France that it would send an unspecified number of AMX 10RCs to Ukraine, and the same day Germany announced 40 Marder 1s and the Americans 50 Bradley fighting vehicles. So it's a consolidated move now from NATO. It's upping the stakes on the Russians. The vehicles being sent have a very good offensive capability, and that's something that's important. It has the look of something that can be used to retake ground. That seems to be the thought behind it. Now, the UK has already sent $2.8 billion worth of supplies, and intends to do the same again this year. We've already sent 200 armoured vehicles, which comes as a surprise to a lot of people. We've sent lighter vehicles, we've sent scimitar recce vehicles, we've sent similar vehicles from the same series, the Spartan, the Samaritan armoured ambulance, the Samson recovery vehicle. So we've sent that sort of vehicle, plus a lot of the vehicles that were developed for Afghanistan to move infantry around. Things like the Mastiff, the Wolfhound and the Husky. All designed to move infantry in safety, small weapon teams in particular with the Spartan, particularly the Starstreak missile that we've sent. I'm not sure if they've been attached to vehicles or the ground mount one. So we have sent plenty before. Now, considering how easy will it be to do? Surprisingly easy. 5 months ago, a squadron of the Queen's Royal Hussars was sent to be attached to the 21st Rifle Brigade of the Polish Army, and that was to replace the T-72s that had been sent into the Ukraine. So it was a bit of a backfill. So it would be no difficulty to again use these same vehicles. They're in Poland ready. The remainder of the battalion are in Estonia. So again, there are tanks in theatre ready. Now, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to do. To integrate these to the Ukrainian army is going to bring up a few problems. The most obvious one is going to be logistics. There's a whole new supply chain now needed for these. The gun is a different gun to everything else in the Ukrainian army, and in fact the 120mm gun fitted to the Challenger 2 is not going to be easy to get the ammo for, because the only people who use the Challenger 2 with its distinctive rifled gun as opposed to the standard NATO smoothbore gun are the UK and Oman. So logistics wise there are issues, and not just for the vehicles themselves but the training of the people to maintain the vehicles. That's something to be considered. The training of the crews. Now that's something, again, it's a very different vehicle from a Russian style tank, which is predominantly what the Ukraine's using. So there is a lot of differences there. So there would be a training program, which again points to the possibility of these being used for a counter-offensive in the spring. These wouldn't really be ready prior to that. It's very unlikely there are enough trained crews from the Ukrainian army. There may be one or two, which would be very helpful, who've gone across as volunteers. I don't know. I wouldn't have thought there would be many, if any. So there is that issue. There's the issue of the fact that the bridges in the Ukraine are usually rated for up to about 44 tons. The Challenger 2 in its basic level, without any of the add-on armour, is 64 tons. So straight away there is an issue in that, how does it cross bridges? This was a major issue if you look back to the German army in the Second World War with the Tigers. They had exactly the same problem with them. So that becomes an issue. Recovering it if it does break down or is damaged, because you would need a comparable recovery vehicle. So my guess is we won't just see the 10 to 12 vehicles, but there will also probably be one or two recovery vehicles added to it. So they're all things that have to be considered when they actually put them into service. Now, the Ukraine at the start of the war had 900 tanks. I haven't seen a current figure that you can rely on. I don't think anybody has. And if I had, I wouldn't reveal it on here anyway. So 900 tanks, we use that as a baseline figure. 10 tanks is not a huge addition to that. So if we only have 10 tanks, what is it achieving? Now we could send more. The Challenger 3 upgrade uses the Challenger 2 as the base vehicle, and the plan is to actually convert a number of them, but there would be 79 that were being scrapped. So Britain would have extra vehicles, perhaps stripping some of them for parts, but you'd still think there would be a significant number that could be used. So my gut feeling on this is predominantly a symbolic act. This is being done to show the Russians that NATO is still willing to support Ukraine. No, and I think we will see if this doesn't achieve the aim of acting as a bit of a break for the Russians. We will see more of this. Other NATO countries getting involved and perhaps trying to standardise what's sent. I can see that being something that will occur. This feels a very long haul event. If you remember, there was a lot of fuss when the tanks weren't sent in the early days because the comments were it would take too long. We obviously feel now that we do have time. This is not a war that's going to finish tomorrow. Not in a military victory. A political settlement could occur, but for a military settlement it's going to take a lot longer. So I think this is a symbolic thing to start the long haul to finish the war. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click on the like button below so that I know what people like and I know what to make more of. Alternatively, if you've enjoyed it and think you'd like to see more, please click on the subscribe button. That way you get notified by YouTube whenever I bring out a new video. And you never know, there might be something in there that you hadn't considered, because I do cover a variety of things on the channel. And finally, if you have a little bit of cash going, I now have a Patreon account. I'm always looking for patrons because at the end of the day, let's be perfectly honest, it's a good way for me to get a little bit of money that will use to buy review items or to travel to museums and so on. I don't put a huge amount on that. At the minute all we've got is one tier charging £1 a month, which just, as I say, helps cover my costs. See you soon.